Hello, everybody. It's Tammy. Welcome back to Soot and Salt. I don't typically do like VRs and tags and stuff like that. I honestly try to do them once in a while, but sometimes I don't get to them or they don't speak to me, right? So, as I was having my morning tea, there was a tag video that popped up on my feed that I actually thought looked really cool and I wanted to do. It was suggested, I saw it on Tarot Magpie's channel, and I believe if you watch her video, she says it's coming from the channel Feed Your Soul. So I think that's where this is all coming from. Hopefully I'm correct because I would like to give credit where credit's due, right? The tarot tag that caught my attention is called I've Got a Deck for That. And I just kind of skimmed through the videos pretty fast and I thought that it was a really cute tag. So, and I had things that I could actually put in it and use. So that's what we're doing today. So this is my hashtag I've got a deck for that. All right, so question number 1 is favorite movie genre. Okay, so these all took me a while to figure out and to think about. My favorite movie genres, I'm gonna say, is horror movies, scary movies, right? Horror movies. I love a good horror movie. And then on the a complete opposite spectrum of that, my other favorite movie genre is like period pieces, like history pieces, like Victorians. I love like Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility and like those period pieces, right? You're asking what deck I have that encompasses both of those movie genres. And that is Tarot Ambiguity. Okay, so not only is this a Marseille, but it's got blood in it, it's got severed body parts. So it's that classic deck, right? But at the same time, like we have like severed heads happening and blood splatter and weird, strange things going on in them. So to me, this was like the perfect deck that encompasses horror and period piece genres, which it's crazy, right? But it's true. This deck totally does that for me. It's tea stained, like it's classic. It's like, look at the backs are classic. Like it's perfect. It's so perfect. The other thing too is the cardstock. Cardstock is like a dream linen. And like I said, you have to have like a good horror movie. There's a lot of really bad ones out there, but when you get a good horror movie, it's like that sweet spot. It's like tarot cardstock. When you get that good cardstock, it's like it's the sweet spot, right? And like there's hearts and blood. This is so, I mean, it literally encompasses both horror movies and period pieces all in one, which is crazy. But I love this deck. This is a great reader. It is clear and precise, like all Marseilles. It's just, I don't know. I love it. This is a great one. And it definitely covers both of those completely opposite side of the spectrum genres of movie. Right? How crazy, eh? Ugh, such a good one. All right, so that is my question number 1. That is my favorite movie genre deck. All right, so question number 2 is your favorite movie. All right, this one was really hard for me because I don't really have a favorite movie, honestly. I don't. I thought long and hard about it. I used to have a lot of favorite movies when I was a kid. or like even as a teenager. But now I don't really have a favorite movie anymore. I guess if I was to pick anything though, I think I would pick Practical Magic because I feel like that's going to be a favorite. I think that's a favorite for a lot of people because it's kind of like the first time we've gotten to see like witchcraft and all of that stuff on screen and in your face and in person, but like the more practical, obviously the practical side of it, right? Not like, the darkness and the devil and the stuff that you would see in horror movies and crap like that where people just don't really know what they're talking about, but like the actual, just the practical magic aspect of it, right? Like maybe a little bit more into the green witch stuff. And we didn't really see that until Practical Magic came out. So the deck that I picked that I feel encompasses that energy pretty good is the Uniseyaos. So this is edition 7. And I feel like it does a good job. It's got plants in it. It's the color palette is beautiful. You've got a lot of women in it. You've got a little bit of the, you know, skulls and a little bit more of like that witchy aspect that way. But I feel like if I was to pick a deck that made sense to me, and kind of aligned with the movie Practical Magic, I feel like it would be this one. And I feel like it's really original. Like I said, Practical Magic movie, when it came out, it was really original. We haven't seen anything much like that. And I feel like the length and like the skinniness and the length of these cards, I feel like it gives it that same like original feel. Like I've never had a deck that's this shape before, this like elongated rectangle, right? And I feel like it's very feminine. It has like a sisterhood feeling to it. It could be, midnight margaritas, but also advice from the great aunts, right? Like it's got like some, troublesome looking men. I don't know. I feel like this is very much a Practical Magic deck, in my opinion. It's just got so many flowers and botanicals in it, right? And like so many beautiful images. And the colors, like I feel like Practical Magic is like kind of a timeless classic at this point, and I feel like the Uniseyaos is a very timeless classic. I feel like the color palette, especially this one's color palette, is very witchy and earthy, and you've got your greens and your wines and your bright purples and a little bit of dash of like these like, goldy tones. Yeah, 100%. I feel like this is a Practical Magic deck to me. So question number 3 is your favorite color. All right, I'm a big fan of pink. I love like pink tones, but like the dusty tones of pink. But I do like hot pink nails once in a while. I do enjoy pink a lot. And obviously, I wear tons of black. I'm going to say like 90% of my wardrobe is black or like dark grays. So I picked this deck because of its amazing black accents, but I also am a sucker for like a really good like goldy mustard color. So I went with this one. And that is the newest edition of Solera Occulto. The color palette of this deck and the details are astounding. This is one of the decks that I had a really hard time putting away. It's got its own little mini oracle that comes with it, which I'm just going to kind of keep off to the side. All right, so I mean, like, look at we've got black edging, we've got beautiful shiny backs, but it's the color palette, it's the blacks and the rusty brown colors and like the mustard color that just it does it for me. I love I love these earthy tones, and that's the thing, like I really do love earthy tones. And I feel like the color palette of this deck. Okay, apparently now we're going to reverse. So I must have put it away in a mess last time. This was a heavy user. When this showed up, this became an extremely heavy user in my collection. I use it all the time. It's always calling at me, and I'm always like, ugh, but I gotta give other decks a try. But I do. I love like the color palettes, and the black of this deck is so black, and I love it. So this is definitely some of my favorite colors happen in here. And there's like little hints of red. Yeah. And I mean, I could have went with just like a black and white, you know, like a monochrome scale deck. I could have went with, you know, like the Witches, the Wanderer's Tarot. Sorry, not the Witches, the Wanderer's Tarot, which was just, it's all black, right? With just a little bit of white. But I feel like even though I wear like a lot of dark colors and I love black, I like to add a little pop of color here and there, whether it's my nails or earrings or necklace. I always tend to wear gold jewelry because I'm allergic to a lot of other metals. So black and gold is kind of like a theme of who I am. So this really connected in and is exactly the right deck for this question for me. Yeah. Oh, here's like my favorite card. I love the Three of Cups in this deck so much. It's just beautiful. The question 4 is your childhood self. There is a deck out there by Kitten Chops called Playful Heart. That one really speaks to my child self, like huge. I have not gotten the opportunity to add it to my collection yet. So I went the opposite direction where I picked something based on like a movie that was a huge aspect of my childhood. And that is the Labyrinth Tarot deck. And yes, I am an 80s child. And I bought this just for for nostalgic purposes. I don't really like Insight Editions cardstock. I actually find it really annoying. So, and it's in order, like 100% in order. Because like I said, I don't use it. But the cardstock on this one's not that bad, to tell you the truth. But yeah, I don't know. This was a huge part of my childhood. This was one of my most favorite movies. I loved it. I watched it all the time. I loved the Muppets and the different stuff that was happening. These guys were crazy. I didn't care for them. There was like their song was like the one song that like I fast forward through because it would just drive me up the wall. But yeah, so I definitely, this so connects into my childhood. And I know this deck is a little pippish, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of cute. But I feel like they could have maybe did a little bit better, but whatever. Like I said, I bought it for nostalgic purposes. And the other deck, or the other thing that I would have connected to my childhood is Legend. And I don't know if anyone even knows what that is. But Legend, the movie Legend, was insanely huge part of my youth. I loved it. Loved everything about it. And I don't even think that there's a Legend deck out there. There should be. If you want to make money, make a Legend deck. But I don't even know if anyone even knows what the movie Legend even is. Had Tim Curry as Darkness, and Tom Cruise was in it, and Mia. Oh, I can never remember her last name. She was the chick from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She was the main character, Lily. But yeah, so that's the deck that I picked that connects into my childhood self, and it does. I love it. But like I said, I don't use it that much. Now, question number 5. A deck that connects to your teenage self. If I had Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I would totally be showing that right now, but I don't have that one either. It's on my list to eventually get as well too. But back when I was a teenager, I partied a lot. And I was into fairies. So I picked this. The Tarot of the She. I feel like this is like teenage Tammy. I feel like it's a trickster. There's a lot of like this deck has crazy energy. If you don't own it, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but if you do own it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This deck is a trip. It's weird, it's wonky. It like totally encompasses the energy of the she. And I feel like it's like a party, like it's kind of like a party deck in a way. I get like the party vibes. It's just a lot of color, a lot of movement, a lot of action, a lot of strange pictures. And I feel like this definitely taps into my teenage self. Because like I said, I partied a lot and I was into fairies. And this to me kind of is that exactly. I was really confused when I was a teenager, and I didn't really have direction, or I didn't know what I wanted to do or what I wanted to be. And I feel like I was like confused a lot, and I feel like this deck can be very confusing sometimes. Yeah, I drew very similar to this kind of style when I was in high school. Like this was kind of like I could see this being very similar to my artwork and the way that I drew and the way that I did things. So yeah, like 100%, like that might be really weird for me to say, but like this is like, I feel like it connects right into who I was as a teenager. I was sometimes a little bit of a troublemaker, right? And I feel like this has that energy as well too. I was very direct, and I still happen to be that way. And I feel like this deck can be very direct, but other times can be very confusing. So I feel like this is definitely teenager Tammy, 100%. All right, next one, 6, a deck for adult self. This one I kind of was on the fence about, but I ended up picking this one. And that is the Margaret Peterson. Why I picked this is because I feel like I've reached, oops, sorry, that might have been really loud. I've kind of reached new levels, and I feel like this deck does that. I feel like it's emotional. I feel like it's supportive. I feel like when there's hidden aspects in this deck that maybe don't come forward every single time. There's a little bit of, I don't even know how to explain it. Just the energy behind this, I feel, connects with who I am now and where I'm at in life. I feel like this is a classic deck. I feel like, I don't know. when I thought about a deck for my adult self, I picked with this one. I feel like it's mature. I feel it says what it needs to say, but yet it holds mystery still. It knows when to, I feel like it knows when and how to address situations. And like, look at these cards. These images are so beautiful. And I don't know, this is the deck that popped into my brain when I thought about a deck that shows my adult self. And I feel like this is where it brought me. I am a lover of fine art and abstract art and watercolors. And I feel like that's obviously what's going on a lot of these pictures. Like, oh, I don't know. There's just something about the artwork. I feel like when I sit down with this deck, like I'm sitting down with like my higher self in a way. And I find it fiery, but yet cooling and grounding. Like, look at this card. They're just beautiful. So yeah, this is the deck that I picked as my adult self. All right, question number 7. Your favorite song or music genre? All right, so a lot of people don't know this about me, but I am huge into classical music, specifically Baroque period. But classical music is usually what's playing around here 90% of the time. And so I picked the Golden Tarot. I don't talk about this deck hardly ever on my channel, but I love this deck. I enjoy it very, very much. I got the linen edition, which is awesome, but I feel like this is 100% where my music taste lies. I feel like it's very Renaissance-y, Baroque period, classic. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like when I sit down with this, like I could totally hear a classic piece playing in the background. And people might think it's weird. I mean, I used to party. I used to go out to the bars. I used to listen to booty music. I used to listen to all of, pop, hip hop, all that stuff, rap. But a few years ago, I'm going to say longer than a few years ago. I'm going to say about probably within 10 years, my taste in music completely changed. And I always loved classical music. Don't get me wrong. Always loved it. However, it just really stepped forward for me, and I now, like, if you were to go to my car and turn on my car and my radio was to start up, it's on a classical radio station. I just prefer the energy. I prefer the fact that you can turn it down and it's kind of just more background music. I get really, really caught up in the emotional energy of music. So if I'm listening to sad music, it'll make me sad. If I'm listening to happy music, it'll make me happy. If I'm listening to sensual music, it makes me, feel that way too. And so it's very important, I guess, to me that I don't know, I find classical music puts me in like a neutral position. It doesn't make me necessarily feel any emotion, but yet some of the most powerful emotional pieces I've heard in my life have been classical pieces. So I don't know how that works, but to me it just kind of quiets my mind and it just grounds me and centers me. So yeah, like huge fan of classical music. Baroque, I love Baroque. Specifically, if I was to pick someone that I enjoy, that would be Sebastian Bach. I love Bach. Question number 8. What is your favorite book genre? All right, so I used to read a lot of novels. I used to be into like Anne Rice, and I used to read a bunch of different stuff. I loved different stories. I'm going to say within the last 10, 15 years, whenever I sit down with a book, it's to advance, it's to learn something, it's to dive into the past or into ancient wisdom or into like older sources, right? So I guess my favorite book genre would be ancient history, if that makes any sense, if that's even a genre. But that's kind of what I'm into. So the deck that I picked for that is the Ritual Tarot. And that's probably why this deck and me connect so deep, is because I feel like it's tapping into ancient history. And there's just so much like stuff that it has to say or come forward with. I love this deck. It is still on my bedside. It's been my heavy nighttime user deck for over 2 months now. And I love it. I love everything about it. I feel like, I mean, obviously it's been made from history books and different things like that, right? So it makes sense. But this is like 100% my cup of tea all the way. I enjoy it so much. The depth to these cards is fantastic. And I know this is one of those decks where you either love it or you hate it. But for me, I love it. It's been a huge hit with me. I enjoy so much about it. And it's definitely my question number 8 deck. It's just fantastic. Yeah. I mean, like, just so many different levels this can come at you. High Priestess is a super cool card. But honestly, one of my most favorite cards in here is, I do like the Princess of Wands. I think she's beautiful. Her, right here. Like, look at this Queen of Pentacles. Like, I can't even. I don't know. It's amazing. The Strength card is really a good card, too. It's great. I love it. This is fantastic. Another one of my favorite ones in here. We're not going to see it, so I'm not going to go back to it. But I do love, 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 love the Queen of Swords card, because she's like, it looks like she's giving you that like stink eye and that like judgy glare, right? So it's amazing. Question number 9, favorite TV show, past or present? All right, so I had to think about this one a lot. I don't really have any favorite. I don't really have favorite movies anymore. I don't really have favorite TV shows. But there has been some TV shows that have really, really, like, I've really enjoyed, right? And I really liked The Last of Us. I thought that was amazing. I really liked Game of Thrones. Once I was able to sit down and like get into it and get into the multi-level of situations that were happening in that, once I understood it and got into it and connected into it, I absolutely love Game of Thrones. I think that's an amazing show. And then I'm going to go with, though, if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to pick The Walking Dead. It started out strong, loved it, loved all of it. Then they got rid of Rick. They killed off Rick. They didn't technically kill him off, right? But he disappeared. And I felt like the show struggled after that. But I was bound and determined. I watched it that far. I was going to see how it ended. And I love the characters. I love the layers. I like apocalyptical things, right? So I thought it was really, really neat, and how they depicted how people were going to handle this disaster, right? So with that being said, I picked the zombie tarot. And also I'm a huge horror fan. So of course I'm going to pick the zombies, right? Zombies are creepy. And I mean, yeah. And this deck, I love this deck. I love the way that it reads. It's kind of got a sense of humor and it makes me smile. There's been times where I've read with this and I'm just like, I find myself laughing and I'm like, this is hilarious. And I love the art style. I think it's so funny. It's like that the way that it goes, right? It's like that disaster that happens and then how you're going to get through the disaster and then it ends up becoming like just every day. Yep, the zombies are here. We have to learn to deal with them and work around them. And they're now part of the world. It makes me laugh because it totally looks like my brother's kids. Every time I see it, I think of them. But yeah, like look at, and then it just turns into like their pets. They're there, we have them, we have to deal with them, might as well embrace them, right? So I don't know. I think it's just funny and it made me laugh. So if I was to pick my favorite TV show and favorites used very lightly, but I would pick The Walking Dead, I guess. Yeah. This deck's hilarious. It's just a great sense of humor. And everybody probably knows this. You guys have all probably seen this a million times, so I don't have to keep going on about it. But I do. I really enjoy this deck. All right, number 10 is your favorite pastime. All right, so I picked something that was like anything outdoors. I love being outside. I love going outside. I love working in my gardens. I love going for hikes or walks. I love being in nature. But at the same time, another one of my favorite pastimes is, like I said, I like reading into like ancient history. I like reading into the different, the ways that things used to be, different religions, different deities, different things like that, right? So I chose this one. And this is my Pagan Other Worlds. This is pretty new to me. I know, shock factor, but it is pretty new to me. And I picked this deck because I feel like it has such beautiful outdoor scenery in it. It's very earthly. It's very grounding. And I love everything about it. I feel like it's kind of like antique anatomy and the ritual tarot together. So you have that outdoorsy, earthy flower garden outside feel, but at the same time you're getting that dip into ancient history and the old ways, right? And so for me, this just definitely dives in. I consider myself pagan. I'm not into organized religion. So this connects with me and speaks volumes to me. And I'm very much like I'm really into Gaia energy, so I feel like this deck has like a lot of connection to Gaia energy and Mother Earth. So to me it makes sense. This makes a lot of sense. It's just so beautiful. And like I love that strength is with a bear and not a lion. I love it. And like look at how beautiful and intricate it is. Gorgeous. And once again, it's kind of dipping its toes into that classic world as well, too. Just so beautiful. I could stare at this deck all day. I feel like I'm shuffling when I have it. I feel like I'm shuffling like tiny little, beautiful paintings. It's gorgeous. Great deck. All right, question number 11. Favorite holiday or dream holiday? All right, so this one was kind of strange for me because my favorite holiday would just be to travel and see, explore an ancient pyramid or explore a forgotten building or um, stuff like that, right? I would love to go to Europe. I would love to travel Europe just because it's so thick with the ancient ways and ruins and old castles and just everything, right? Like old forgotten gardens, just so much happening, right? So I picked the Stunning Tarot. And I picked this because obviously it's got your Egyptian stuff, which I would love to go into. I love the ocean and like aquariums and stuff like that. So we get like the mermaid sea aspect and stuff happening. And it also has like a little bit of like your like Arabian Nights happening, right? So I feel like this is kind of goes into like that time for me makes sense. Like it, I don't know, it makes sense. Ugh, I love this deck. I forgot how much I love this deck. I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't used it in a bit. Egyptian, yes. Mermaids, yes. Witchy stuff, yes. And Arabian Nights, yeah. Like I would love to go to Salem. I would love to go to Egypt. I would love to go to any of the places that these things. I would love to go for like, sailing on the ocean. I mean, I'm good with all of it. Like this is just 100%, 100% all the things that I'd be interested in. So works for me. Yeah, this is a great one. Beautiful card stock too. All right, we're almost done. Question 12. A deck that represents the decade that you were born in. 80s, right? And I'm going to go with my most favorite 80s deck, and that is Tarot of the Cat People. I absolutely love this deck. I love it so much. I could have picked the Barbara Walker, and I thought about it, but I was like, no, Tarot of the Cat People, all the way. I just recently got my hands on a copy of the Traveler's Report that goes, the book that goes with this deck. So I'm waiting for the time to be able to sit down and to dive into this deck with the Traveler's Report and get really into it. But I love this deck. I love the energy that comes from this deck. The backs are like the coolest backs I think I've seen, honestly. But it's the energy to me, and I don't even know how to explain it, but it's the way that these cards feel. Like it brings me into an area of like it's an unfamiliar energy, but at the same time it feels like home. If that makes any sense. I don't even know if that does. But man, I love the artwork. I love the color palette. I love cats. I mean, obviously I love cats. I have 4 of them, right? And I enjoy it so much. And I can't wait to get into this with the Traveler's Report. I can't wait. It is on my list of things to do. I've got to get into this deck with the book. I've got the Tarot of the Spirit book that I need to get into with it. I have, there was another one. Oh, the the ones that I just got. So I just did an Usi haul. And so I've got the Pagan of Otherworlds to get into with the book. I've got the Materia Prima to get into with the book, and I've got the Supra to get into with the book. So I've got a lot of learning to do. And of course, we're going into the busy season. So a lot of this is going to get put off until the fall. Unless we have a quiet summer. I mean, it's possible. I might end up having a quiet summer. But usually not. I keep hitting all of my decorations today. All right. So question 13 is favorite flower. Oh, this was so hard for me. Do I pick peonies? Do I pick roses? Do I pick lily of the valley? I don't know. I love all flowers. Honestly, I love flowers. I would get peonies tattooed on me. I have roses tattooed on me. But honestly, like, how do you pick a favorite flower? So I picked a deck that has all kinds of flowers. And that is the Antique Anatomy. This deck is so beautiful. I don't know. It has like the macabre, but at the same time, it's full of flowers and it's so beautiful. I have like, I don't know, the cardstock's okay. It's kind of cardboardy. I don't know what edition that means I have, but I love it. I've had it for a long time. I got this when it first came out. Not on Kickstarter, but when the mass market came out. Back when I bought this, I didn't even know Kickstarter even existed. I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, I just picked a deck that has all kinds of beautiful flowers in it. Like bellflowers. Bellflowers are so beautiful. They're so gorgeous. There's vines, there's trumpet flowers, there's violets. Look at the little violets. These grow all over in my grass. Little wild violets. There's clematis. There's so much stuff happening here. And I love them all. Right? They're so beautiful. I don't think I could pick a favorite flower, honestly. They're just so beautiful, all of them. I don't know how you would say, well, I just like this. I mean, there might be people out there that can do that, and kudos to you. I couldn't. I love all of them so much. Oh, look at these like old-fashioned, old-school roses. Oh, beautiful. My camera's having problems today, I think. This Mercury in retrograde is really screwing up my equipment. Yeah. Sunflowers. Like, who doesn't like a good sunflower, right? I want to plant a bunch of sunflowers this year. So yeah, I picked this one because I was like, I love all the flowers. And this has tons of flowers, all kinds of different types. So worked for me. Okay, so number 14, favorite scent. I have tons of scents that I love. I love lavender. I love like more woodsy smelling, like patchouli. Love patchouli. Copal, Paleo Santo, right? Like all of those. But if I was to pick one that I feel is above all the rest, it would be sandalwood. I absolutely love sandalwood. So there's two decks that I feel encompass the smell of sandalwood. To me, sandalwood is very spiritual. It brings you to a higher level of meditation. It brings you deep into roots. So I was going to show the Mary L because I feel the Mary L is like sandalwood. But there's also another deck that I feel is sandalwood. And that is the Tantric Dakini. This is an oracle, but it technically can be a tarot as well. So if you get into this crazy huge book, it talks to you about how the cards also relate with tarot. And it gives you your tarot associations, right? So this deck can be... Hold on. I hate these style of boxes. Right? Annoying. She always comes up. Our Kali card. All right. This deck it's so sandalwood for me. It's spiritual yet cosmic. It's got that deep, like dark feminine roots, right? It's so dark goddess energy, honestly. We have so many different images of Kali in it. And I feel like this is sandalwood, as well as the Marielle. Like you would expect this deck to smell like sandalwood when you pull it out. I feel like the scent would just be on it, right? This and the Marielle is what popped into my mind when I thought about, sandalwood. It just brings you to new levels. And this deck does. This deck will bring you to a new level if you spend time with it and you work with it. It brings you into these realms that you're just like not expecting, right? And like the Kali cards are fantastic in it. Yes. Yeah, this is my sandalwood deck along with the Marielle. Okay, so number 15, my favorite food. Well, it would be sushi. However, I don't have a sushi deck. I don't even know if a sushi deck even exists. If there is, I should get one because that would be awesome. But then I went to the next thing. So I love mushrooms. I love mushrooms. They are my favorite. I love them in sandwiches. I love them in pastas. I love them on their own raw. I adore mushrooms. So I obviously have the Midnight Magic, but I love that deck. But the cardstock gets on my nerves like really, really bad. So I picked this one because this is a fantastic little deck. This is the Mushroom Hunters Arcanum. And the cardstock is wonderful. Like, look at how cute the backs are. Yes, I love it. So yeah, I picked this one because I love mushrooms. I love truffles. Like, truffles are fantastic. And I think this deck is so clever. I love doing readings with it. I enjoy my time with it. It's such a great one. And our Queen of Wands has a little black cat. I just got my hands on some organic king oysters as well as enoki, and really, really thoroughly enjoyed those. But yeah, like I love mushrooms. I love mushrooms in the wild. I love like culinary mushrooms. I'm even down to microdose. So for me, mushrooms there's so much. Like in Canada, marijuana has been legal for a while now. And because they made it legal, we were able to tap into a bunch of different sources, like medicinal sources to the plant that were being completely overlooked, like CBD and just the different things that plant can do, right? And I feel like our next step is to the psychedelics, to get into the mushrooms, right? Like, I feel like there's so much medicinal properties that are not being tapped into simply because of what they are. And I feel like that is so ridiculous that we are limiting ourselves on medicinal properties of plants just because of what someone can do with them if they don't know what they're doing. I don't even know. It isn't even making sense. Here's some gnocchi. I just ate some. It was wonderful. Like turkey tail. I mean, like the amount that turkey tail is bringing forward for cancer patients, and there's so many wonderful benefits to it. And I feel like they're just being completely overlooked. And I feel like it's absolutely ridiculous that we're overlooking them. Like I feel like we should be beyond that at this point in the game, right? That hermit card. I love the hermit card. So beautiful. Yeah, so there's my mushroom rant. But I do. I love mushrooms. All about them. All for them. I think that it's very much of in our future to embrace what mushrooms can do. And finally, last but not least, number 16. Your favorite beverage. All right, I went with tea. I absolutely love tea. Like, adore tea. And tea is a very classic, a very traditional drink, right? So I went with my tea stained RW. It's so tea stained. Like, it's lovely. Oh, I love everything about this deck. The cardstock is crazy cool too. But yeah, I feel like this is tea. It's tea stained, it's classic, it's traditional, it's an RW. Like, this is 100% my question number 16 deck. It's so great. I love how dark it is. It's stained so dark. And it's like kind of zoomed in on the pictures. Like, it's much closer, you know what I mean? That didn't focus in. Let's try that again. Here we go. Yeah. I love it. Like, who doesn't love a good cup of tea? I mean, there's obviously people out there that don't like tea, but man, I can't turn down a tea. And when I see like one of those like those stores that sell tea, and you can go in and pick out like the different flavors and smell the different stuff. Oh yeah, I'll spend a fortune in a tea store. Favorite tea? Black tea. Love black teas. Green teas are good, but they can give me a headache. But if I was to pick, it's definitely going to be like black tea. I absolutely love black tea. My breakfast tea is a black tea. Like an orange pekoe, or like even like an Earl Grey. Earl Grey is considered black tea, but it's got a little bit of, a little bit of je ne sais quoi to it, right? So yeah, I don't know, but love it. So that is my question 16, and that is my tea stained RW or Dirty Pam. All right, so there's my tarot tag video. I got a deck for that. It was fun to do. It was fun to go over and to look at all the different stuff and try to find stuff that goes into those spots and those questions for me, right? Very entertaining. Tons of fun. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. Subscribe, like, share, all that awesome stuff. And I'll see you guys on the next one.